This is He Knows Everything, bringing you that heat and that far. We keeping a foot on the what? Oh, neeks. We keeping a foot on the what? Oh, neeks. And like the Tibetan marriage shift that I am, I'm applying what on immediate pressure. Because pressure does what? It bursts pipes. Let's talk about it, man. See, this is what He Knows Everything knows. He knows that Lefraud James, i.e. the greatest of all trolls, is doing what he's doing to try to lure Damian Lillard to the Los Angeles Lakers or the Los Angeles Fakers. Let me explain why LeBron James did Space Jam 2. LeBron James didn't do Space Jam 2 because he wanted to basically just copy Michael Jordan, copy the Michael Jordan route. This man copied the powder toss. This man copied basically the number 23. He tried to copy how to emulate even winning championships. Unctioning greatness personification, but you can't unction greatness personification because greatness personification in its most natural form can only be hindered. The motherfucker can't be stopped. But see, you guys have to understand what Lefraud James is doing. For brain full of mush and brainwashed dodo heads, those that have been neuro-linguistic programmed, what they're not understanding because they're not using their corpus callosum and cerebellum. They're not using their medulla oblongata. They're not using what we would say neuron receptors, because if your neuron receptors are not clicking on all cylinders at early childhood onset, then it's not going to click. That's just the bottom line with it. This whole doing a movie of Space Jam 2 was to lure Damian Lillard to the Los Angeles Fakers. It had nothing to do with what you guys think it is on the surface. We know on the surface he wants to be like Michael Jeffrey Jordan, but he has LaFell. He is basically what we would say the LaFell, la rendition of a la duplicator. Let me say it again. He is a LaFell, la rendition of a la duplicator. But in its most cold-hearted, unadulterated, and cutthroat true telefashion, it's as simple as this. That Lefraud James, the fraudulent one, or i.e. the LaFraudulent one, the one that basically made you think that he was the chosen one, but in actuality, he was the frozen one. His biggest pocket issue was to do the Space Jam movie to lure Damian Lillard, the pure beta supreme from the Portland Trailblazers, to the Los Angeles Fakers. Because you guys have to understand, LeBron James needs the perfect scenario, like Richie Rich famously said. He needs to stack the cards of the decks in his favor in order for him to have a perfect situation. But like Vernon Maxwell said, and he said it so best, and I'll talk about it in another video, maybe today or tomorrow, that Brooklyn Nets are going to win the NBA Finals next year. Because what you guys have to look at here, what you guys have to see, the bigger pocket issue, the bigger hot pocket topic is as simple as this. That Damian Lillard couldn't get the job done with the Portland Trailblazers. We need to call a spade a spade. We need to keep it real. We need to keep it a buck. We need to keep it 1,000. That Damian Lillard was not the basketball player that you guys thought that he was. That Damian Lillard was a pure beta supreme. Offensively responsible, offensively dominant, but a pedestrian on the defensive end. And Dennis Rodman famously said, offense gets the glory, but defense wins championships. That's what Dennis Rodman said, and he said it so emphatically correct. This is why Damian Lillard wants to go play with the Lakers, because he wants the pressure to be off of the fact that he can't perform in the playoffs. So he wants to hide under the Lefraud James, the LaFraudulent one. It's not a coincidence that they showed up together at a WNBA game. And Dwayne Wade was right there. Basically, Dwayne Wade was there to broker and to break bread so that Damian Lillard could think of the fact that he needed to get over the hump. Lefraud James, LaFraudulent one, likes to Pinocchio these pure beta supremes. He did this with Anthony Davis on a 2 for 20, like Lewis Sports Network famously said. But it was true. This is what he's doing with Damian Lillard now. But Damian Lillard can't see no Kyrie Irving. Anthony Davis cannot see James Harden. And we know that Lefraud James cannot see Kevin Durant. So next year, it doesn't matter what Lefraud James does. It doesn't matter even if he gets Damian Lillard, the pure beta supreme that he is at his truest and his most properest levels. Where Brooklyn is at is going to be where Brooklyn is at, and they're going to win. The only reason why they're not in the NBA Finals is because Kyrie Irving went down. When Uncle Drew gets down and he goes down, the Boogie Down Promotions goes down. because you don't have the contrarian true alpha extraordinaire governed by true alpha economics option 2. In basketball, you have to understand how pivotal option 1s and option 2s are in terms of production, in terms of what they bring to the table, in terms of their presence, in terms of their value, in terms of their asset, in terms of their basically ratios on the basketball court, their carbon imprint, what they leave out there. And when Kevin Durant is going up against the Giannis Antetokounmpos and the Chris Middletons that's putting up 40 and 38, even if he puts up 48, when you subtract 40 plus 38, which equals 78 minus 48, that's a 30 differential in the Milwaukee Bucks' favor. But if you add Kyrie Irving's 40, that's 88. And 88 minus 78 is a plus 10 in the where? Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at? Because when Biggie said it, he didn't ask a question. He made an emphatic statement. That still reigns true. But injuries have what we would say an underlying issue, an underlying history that can demoralize a team in terms of what they are able to bring to the table and in terms of what they are able to do. Where Brooklyn is at is where Brooklyn is at. They haven't lost. They just had an unfortunate injury situation that put them in a precarious situation. But leave it to LeBron James, leave it to Lefraud James, leave it to the LaFraudulent one to the scheme in his favor to have situations bought and paid for. This is why when you look at Space Jam 2, it is a Lefraud James LRMR fraudulent, fluky, and on the spot least path of resistance Mickey Mouse affair of a production. That's why Maverick Carter's there. That's why Rich Paul's there. That's why all these people are there, because of the fact that they are luring Damian Lillard. And doesn't he have a role in the movie? It's a things that make you say, It's a things that make you say, So that movie was to basically lure the pure beta supreme that Damian Lillard is to the Los Angeles Fakers. But Damian Lillard ain't fooling nobody. Damian Lillard wants to hide under the LaClove of the Lefraud James, of the LaFraudulent one. Just like Anthony Davis. That's the cold-hearted. That's the unadulterated. That's the cutthroat true telefashion. You can get 100 Damian Lillards on the Los Angeles Fakers. Next year, where Brooklyn is at, is where Brooklyn is at, and they are winning the NBA championship. That's the cold-hearted. That's the unadulterated. That's the cutthroat true telefashion. I keeps the foot on the whoop. Knicks. I keeps the foot on the whoop. Knicks. Leave it that he knows everything to always showcase to you guys the real intentions and the real reasoning behind Lefraud James at his truest and his most prosperous levels. This is He Knows Everything. Checking out.